Year-old Ryan Schaefer in the number 2 spot. George Branham, the California, number 3. And in the first match of the afternoon, 4th qualifier Steve Wunderlich goes against Marshall Holman. Pleasant good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the PBA Fall Tour with Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph. Let's get right to the action in this first match. Steve Wunderlich ready to go. And Wunderlich opens in fine fashion. He's been hot of late, but he's still trying to win his first PBA singles title.
That's right, Jay, and Wunderlich has been bowling so well that it seems like it's way overdue, and this first match could really be a key match in the whole televised finals.
Here's the 32-year-old veteran from Medford, Oregon, Marshall Holman. And he is looking at trouble right off the bat. This is Marshall's 4th TV appearance of the year. He won his biggest title at the end of the winter tour, capturing the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And a tough way for Holman to get things underway. First prize here today, $33,000. Marshall's 12th year on tour. With a win today, he could move way up in the money earnings on the year. Strikes back. Holman just 5'9", 145 pounds, an intense competitor. Wunderlich from St. Louis. High game of 299 here last night. He left a solid 4-pin. And the 10 is standing for Wunderlich. Steve's 4th appearance in the TV finals this year. Greater LA Open, he finished 5th.
The lane condition here this week, Jay, is heavily oiled, and by that I mean there's a tremendous amount of oil, especially in the first 20 feet of the lane, and that tends to favor the straight shooters, which Steve Wunderlich is considered one of the straight rolling type bowlers, as opposed to Marshall Holman. And when you consider the fact that the first match, the lane condition is going to be maintain that heavy oil, there's definitely an advantage for Steve Wunderlich against Marshall Holman.
7th year on tour for the 28-year-old St. Louisan. Wunderlich, who moved from the 9th position to get the number 4 spot last night.
Now, as Marshall Holman comes up for his next shot in the 3rd frame, down by 12 pins, as I was talking about the lane surface they're playing on, Marshall Holman in the first match is at a slight disadvantage because he likes to hook the ball. And when they're heavily oiled, before they break down or before the oil dissipates a little bit, it's going to be hard for Marshall to get the kind of swing area he likes to have in order for him to score well. Good break there.
Well, he got a fine break. Only Holman and Roth are qualified for next year's Firestone Tournament of Champions.
That's right, and Marshall Holman, the classic stylist, tremendous leverage in the release, and Marshall made a real fine move here. He made an adjustment off the first shot. That big 5 he left in the first frame, got away with a wall shot, chance to take the lead with a strike here in the 4th frame.
His high game this week, a 269.
And Marshall leaves the 4-pin. Now, again, Marshall is even though he's one of the finest shot makers on the tour, the lane condition doesn't really favor him right now as much as it would Steve Wunderlich, who is not crossing as many boards on the lane with the ball, the rotation of the ball. Marshall will go cross lane and throw it a little harder at the spare.
Hey, he has the spare. Holman averaging 205 on the TV pair this week. More in a moment.
Lucky you got one of those rhino balls. Next thing you know, he's going to tell us it's got horns.
Unleash your game. Roll a rhino. The Rhino. From Brunswick, a urethane ball designed for professional and high-performance bowlers.
There came a moment when all the elements came together, unleashing a superbly equipped new breed of compact car, the Dodge Shadow. With 2- or 4-door availability, affordable price, a $550 protection plan. The new Dodge Shadow is going to cast a giant shadow across America. Dodge setting new standards of performance.
Bud Thunder. It's revved up and coming at you.
Steve Wunderlich with a spare in the 4th. He left the 4-7 and converted. Now Wunderlich leading by 3 pins, bowling in the 5th frame. This is the first match. Wunderlich and Holman going at it. Wunderlich averaging 237 on the TV pair this week.
This is Steve's 17th appearance throughout his career on television, Jay, and it's amazing that he hasn't won yet with as much talent as he has, and he feels like we do that he's long overdue. This could be the day. He's throwing the ball really well.
Holman gets it there. Oh, a strike for Marshall in the 5th.
Marshall, since he threw that split in the first frame, has come in light both times then on the next 2 shots on lane 22 and light in the pocket. Marshall throws the kind of ball that you can get away with that light hit because he has such tremendous power on the ball. You can get the pins to mix very well and carry the corners.
A 2-time winner, the Firestone Tournament of Champions, a 2-time winner here.
Almost got the big break there. Could have had the bucket. A difficult spare came only with the 4-pin. And again, another 4-pin on that lane for Marshall, but a completely different hit this time. Last time it was solid in the pocket, left the 4. This time he gave it a little extra room. Didn't get to carry off the wall, but watch the head pin go to the wall, come back, mix up those pins, and leave only the 4.
Roth in 77 here was a loser to Holman. And in 79, Holman defeated Steve Martin. 2 titles that he has won here over the years. Wunderlich up by 3. Career earnings of better than $307,000. This year he ranks 20th on the money list with better than $52,000 to his credit. And it had to hurry and didn't quite get there. He's looking at a 2-8-10.
The 2-8-10, almost an impossible spare for a right-handed bowler. Now, Steve, again, as the players make adjustments in the opening match to the lane conditions, really they're adjusting to things that aren't there. When you make a bad shot, as Steve did on this lane last time and left the 4-7, he was high in the head pin. This time he made kind of an adjustment, gave it a little more room, and it didn't come back. And the players are playing a little cautiously, a little more than I expected them to, especially 2 experienced players like Steve Wunderlich and Marshall Holman. I expect them to be a little more aggressive, and it looks like at this point in the match, the player that does get going in the last 4 frames and gets aggressive is going to be the winner.
Wunderlich back in '82 led the PBA National Tour with 4 perfect games. As I mentioned, he almost had one here last night. And Wunderlich striking back in the 7th. Hope you're enjoying the action. More to come right after this.
You might get caught out in the middle of nowhere with a dead battery, but I won't. This is a Delco maintenance-free battery, and when this green eye is showing, it means I've got all the starting power I need, up to 770 cranking amps. If you think your battery's fading fast, I'd start thinking Delco.
Now through January 3rd, get a $5 rebate on most Delco batteries. See a participating AC Delco retailer for details.
Never wait for trouble.
When it comes to do-it-yourself projects, rely on True Value Hardware Store's professional quality master mechanic tools and their customer guarantee.
Give our heavy-duty power tools like this 3/8-inch variable speed reversing drill for only $27.99. This 7 1/4-inch circular saw is lightweight, powerful, at just $42.99. And this finishing sander for only $39.99 gets the job done fast.
Get master mechanic tools exclusively at most True Value Hardware Stores and home centers.
Introducing Kodacolor VRG film.
We're all moving to a different rhythm.
Our hearts are beating to a different drum.
That's what keeps the whole world spinning.
And that's what makes the whole world fun. Don't you know we're all part of the color of life?
The most accurate, realistic color in print film is here. New Kodacolor VRG.
Color of life.
The Brunswick Memorial World Open is sponsored by Brunswick, making bowling better. By Dodge, setting new standards of performance. By Kodacolor VRG film, with color as realistic as the color of life. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Along with Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph, as we look at the scoreboard here in this first match in the Brunswick Memorial World Open, $200,000 in prize money. Does it go? It does. A very slow 10-pin, but it finally did drop for Marshall.
He did. He did get the ball to actually finish a little harder in the pocket that time. Marshall has struck since the first frame when he had the big split. He has struck every time on lane 22. He struggled a little bit on lane 21. There's the reaction of Marshall. Yes, the 10-pin, a late hit, a little bit late going down. But as long as they fall, that's all that counts.
Ullman the Bowlman. He's been around a long time and thrilled audiences. Tremendous competitor. Oh, my. He liked that one, but he leaves the 8-pin.
Bowling's an amazing game, Jay. It gets even in a hurry. Marshall felt he got a good break by carrying the 10-pin on lane 22. In the 7th frame, he comes right back with what you might say is a perfect release, perfect shot into the pocket. You see the ball rotating very hard, solid in the pocket, and the 8-pin stands. The true tap in bowling. Holman and Wunderlich in a very competitive opening match here. Wunderlich now. Wunderlich taking a re-rack. He wants those pins directly on the spots. The bowlers bowl so many games throughout the year that they can just glance down at the pins, and if it doesn't look right, they can spot a 1/4 of an inch deviation in the pin spotting. Chance to take the lead. A little high, and he leaves the 10-pin. 2 weeks ago, Wunderlich led the Kodak Invitational up in Rochester. He lost to Tom Baker in the title game, 212 to 205. And you watch the release of Steve Wunderlich from the back, an exclusive shot for NBC television. You see the ball crossing, going early into the ball track area, which creates a lot of friction. The ball hooked early. Cross lane at the 10-pin, lots of speed. Wunderlich is down by 9. Coming to the 9th frame in this opening match. Wunderlich misses. Cindy, who travels with him most of the year, is in the audience watching her man. Another very tough break for Wunderlich here as he leaves the 410. And he practiced so well before the telecast. All the players bowled well. They all get in a half an hour practice before we go on the air on the television pair this week, 21 and 22. And Steve was throwing the ball extremely well. Now he looks tentative. He doesn't look like he's really sure how the ball is going to react. And you can see by that shot, that it's not reacting the way it did in practice for him, or at least he's not releasing the ball the way he did in practice.
Shot that was. And you mentioned, I mean, that's not easy for a right-hander.
That's not easy for anybody. I don't care who you are. And what a unique way of shooting that spare. As you see Steve shooting the 4-10 split, he has to slide the 4-pin across the lane. Perfectly covered. But the exciting part of that shot, Jay, was not only that he made it, but the way he did it. He only had his thumb in the ball. He didn't have his fingers in the holes at all. Took his fingers completely out of the ball so the ball would skid. And you could see by the rotation when he threw that ball that it didn't turn over hardly at all.
Holman is up by 11. How will he react?
The third time he's done that on that lane, Jay, and he's going back to the well. He keeps going back to that shot, and he's gotten away with it 3 times.
Here's where we are in the final stages of this first match. Holman trying to hold on against
Holman
Wonderlic.
Right now going into the 10th frame with an 11-pin lead. A strike and the match is over. If he gets spare strike, the match is over. Steve Wonderlic, maximum score of 196. Marshall Holman going at a 197 pace. And a very difficult spare for Marshall at this point.
Indeed it is.
What
That's
a time
the 2,
to let one
4,
come off his
5,
hand.
8. Yeah,
That
slipped
ball
away.
came off his hand like he didn't have anything on it. You can see Marshall working on his fingers there. It looks like it just slipped right off his hand. One of the most difficult spares in bowling, the bucket. Especially on this lane condition because the ball tends to hit the ball track and jump. Let's see how he handles this very pressure situation. And he chopped it.
And that gives Wonderlic an opportunity.
Wonderlic now with a strike spare is the winner. He has a 1-pin lead going into this shot on lane 22 with a strike and any kind of a spare, he's a winner. What a turnaround.
Was a dandy.
What a great shot. What a great shot when he's been struggling all through the match. He needed a strike. You can't throw it any better than that, Jay. It was absolutely perfect. The concentration, the ability to perform under pressure when you need it, go get it. You can't do it better than that. Look at that shot. Absolutely perfect in the pocket. Not over yet now. There it is. There's a winner.
And he strikes on 22. Well, as you said, turnaround, I suppose, is the best word to describe it. It can happen so often in these matches. Wonderlic looked like he was in deep trouble, and now he wins this first match, and maybe it was what he needed to vault him all the way to the top this afternoon.
You never know. That creates a lot of confidence.
Strike on 22 for Wonderlic. Wonderlic has defeated Marshall Holman in our first match of this $200,000 World Open.
Power and long life. That's what you get from Interstate Batteries. With service all across America.
65. Wonderlic a little high, and he has left the 610. And although he's got to be elated at his first victory, he's struggling a little bit, as you suggested he might on these very oily lanes.
He is. He's trying to make the ball do something that he wasn't doing in practice. He's actually helping the ball a little more than he normally does, getting on the side of the ball more than he normally does, and he's getting more back in for that reason. In other words, the ball's hooking very sharply on the back.
Previous best finish in this event was back in '84. Finished 10th here. Now you'll get a look at George Branham III, his first career championship round appearance.
His best previous finish was 8th in the '86 Greater LA Open.
And Branham opening with a strike. He's 24 years old, from Arleta, California, second year on the tour. High game this week at 278. George on the TV pair, averaging a very nifty 251.5.
Oh, what? Yeah, that is unbelievable there, Jay. That's tremendous bowling, especially on this pair, because most of the bowlers have struggled a little bit on this pair this week. As you can see, George has a lot of talent and a unique position he's in today, Jay. He could be the first black bowler to ever win on the PBA Tour. We've had a lot of fine bowlers that have had the opportunity, black bowlers, but they haven't done it yet. George could be the first. I'd like to see that. Again, Steve being bothered by something off to his right. I believe one of the cameras is moving a little bit.
Moving before he bowls, and he was bothered earlier and now is hampered again by it.
Steve doesn't seem to have his concentration as well today as he's had in the past, Jay, and that could be part of his problem why he's not making the shots as well as he has in the past on television. As we mentioned, he's been on the air 17 times in his career. As you look at Cindy Wunderlich, his wife, and she looks a little tentative also. But Steve just doesn't seem to be concentrating as well as normal.
All right, that's looking better, and he seems to have things going finally over there on 22.
I think the wives suffer more than the bowlers. The bowlers are out there, they're in action, they're competing. The wives have to sit there and just pray something good happens. And I think there's a lot more mental stress on the ladies sitting there waiting for their husband or their fiance to perform than there is on the bowler himself.
Wunderlich in the TV finals 4 times last year. This is 4th appearance this year.
So strikes in the second and third for Wunderlich.
Branham is working on a double. Branham has won 2 regional titles, the most recent last October in Bakersfield, California. Well, he got a pretty good break there. It looked like he might be left with the bucket as he came up a little short. He's left the 2-4.
George throws one of the more powerful balls on the tour. He has really fine form, good leverage. A little off balance on that one. He kind of fell off to the right, and he didn't get the finish he wanted on the shot that he's been getting. Got the break, got an easier spare than it looked like, and he covers it quite well.
The Brunswick Memorial World Open scoreboard, match 2. Wunderlich, a winner over Holman, going against Branham here. 6 top 24 finishes this year for George Branham III. His father, George, bowls at about 190 average. So is his brother, Richard. And Branham leaves the 9-pin.
He looked like he lost his footing a little bit on that shot at the foul line, like he didn't, like the slide either stuck or slipped or something. And you watch George go to the foul line. This is the previous shot. And again, he's a little bit off balance, and he pulled the ball across over his target.
Branham and Wunderlich going at it. Back with more of match 2 right after this.
To America's best as they look to Australia and the America's Cup Challenge.
This much for all that you do. You've got the stuff to come through a long way from home. But you're not alone. It's your country's home. It's all staying with you. You make America work, and this fight's for you.
Time was you could put a truck on the market and get by with just an ordinary guarantee. With Ford and Chevy, it's still that way. At Dodge, we put a standard 550 protection plan on every truck we build.
While we were away, Steve Wunderlich struck on lane 22 again for 3 in a row. Spared with a good solid shot on lane 21, leaving the 10-pin, covered the spare. He now has a 12-pin lead over George Branham III, with George coming up on lane 22, 5th frame.
Joe Antonora, here from Akron, Ohio, joining us this week, the PBA commissioner.
He must be doing a good job, Jay. They just gave him an extension on his contract.
He must be.
That's right there for Branham.
Striking the 5th for George.
Something unique in this event, other than the format, which is 56 games as opposed to our normal 42-game format, Jay. This is a 56-game event because it's a major championship, as the PBA National Championship is, things like that. What I was talking about unique is the bowlers have drilled a number of new balls for this tournament. The field has drilled over 400 new balls for this event.
Oh, that shows you that the conditions have been unusual this week.
The conditions have been unusual. They've been difficult at times and very easy at times, but the bowlers are drilling new bowling balls to combat the amount of oil on the lanes.
Chairman of the board of the Brunswick Corporation, of course, Brunswick instrumental in bowling being admitted to the Olympics as an exhibition sport in '88. Jack Reichert here, watching Wunderlich now on 22. Wunderlich leaves the 4-pin. He had really gotten it going over there on 22. He didn't strike over there until the 10th frame of his first match.
When he had to do it, he sure performed well, though, didn't he, Jay? Mm-hmm. Got the big double in the 10th to beat Marshall Holman in the first match.
I think he was over the line, a foul.
Did he foul?
I will look to Harry Golden to indicate it, but I believe so. Harry Golden, our tournament director. And, yep.
Yes, he definitely fouled. Very unusual occurrence for the professional bowlers. That very seldom happens unless there's really something unusual about the approaches. Steve just looked like he was trying to throw the ball hard, lost his coordination, his timing, and slid over the foul line. What a big break for George Branham.
Well, he comes back with a strike, although Early appeared to have a little trouble at the line again there. Maybe he's had a problem with one of those shoe bottoms. We'll come back. Wunderlich is down by 10, and you see him working on the shoe.
Tonight on Hunter, a teenager is raped and murdered.
You'll pay with your life!
Hunter takes on Melvin Belli and the victim's sister.
While we were away, George Branham on lane 22 left the 10-pin on a good hit, covered the spare, came back with a strike on lane 21. Steve Wunderlich on a strike, going into the 8th frame, a chance to take the lead back. Steve just seems lost out there, Jay. He doesn't really seem to be bowling with a lot of confidence. He's not making the kind of shots he would make in this situation normally. You can see his concentration looks good, but he just doesn't seem to have the balance and the speed. Remember how firm he normally is with the ball. He seems to be a little soft today with the shot.
Well, Wunderlich seemed to be struggling in the first match, and then of course in that 9th frame he cut that 4-10 split down, and you see he's still working on the shoe there. The fault here in this match had to be a bit unnerving for him, and now he's got to try to gather himself one more time.
He does, and again we're running out of frames. This is Steve Wunderlich again on lane 21, 9th frame, down by 9 pins.
It went down for him. That 7-pin was a little reluctant.
A little slow, but he got it, and that's a key shot. Now, he can still strike out on the 10th for 227. George Branham going at a 216 clip. As you see, Steve, look at the tremendous lift he puts on the ball right at the end, the good leverage. The 5-pin dances across the lane, just enough to nudge out the 7.
Who struck in the 8th, strikes back here in the 9th.
Very similar to the kind of strikes Marshall Holman was throwing on lane 22. Marshall had 3 strikes consecutively on lane 22, almost the identical hit that you saw George Branham carry right there. Now, with this strike, George Branham could lock out Steve Wunderlich. 10th frame, first ball in the 10th frame for George Branham. Jay.
Branham. Well, a big, big game for George Branham III, our winner.
Well, George is to the point now, as you see that style, and he likes the shot. He's just hoping he gets the break off the wall. Watch the ball rotate, very sharp break on the back end. Head pin goes to the wall, comes back, kicks out the 4-7. He stays behind the foul line, he's a winner. Keep the ball on the lane. Here's your winner.
So Wunderlich will take 4th place, $7,000. And George Branham III, the winner of this second match, will be moving into action in just a moment against Ryan Schaefer.
Hey, Mark, I see you got one of those rhino people. Next thing you know, he's going to tell us it's got horns.
Unleash your game. Roll a rhino. The Rhino. From Brunswick, a urethane ball designed for professional and high-performance bowlers.
Introducing Kodacolor VRG, film that captures the color of power. Accurate, realistic color and print film is here. New Kodacolor VRG.
The color of light. Car carry people. We know who we are.
Here's where Quaker State's unique engine protection formula goes to work for you.
We got what it takes. We know what's best. We're the ones who won't settle for less.
For top quality, state-of-the-art motor oil protection, special formula Quaker State.
We're Quaker State people, reaching for the best.
This fall, NBC Sports has a November to remember when heart-pounding excitement returns to the greens, where one putt could be worth $450,000. Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, and Fuzzy Zeller play the Skins Game. It's a November to remember on NBC.
George Branham III in his first television finals. Boy, 246 over Wunderlich's 205. Jay Randolph along with Earl Anthony here at the Northern Bowl, Glendale Heights, Illinois. Mighty nice going for Branham, 246 first time out of the box.
That's a pretty tough average to maintain, I think, on television, Jay, but it's a great, great start for a young player. And now he's going against another rookie. He's only in his second event as a professional bowler on tour. Only 20 years old, Ryan Schaefer, and he qualified second in this event. It should be a great match.
Got to be a cloud over Wunderlich's head because he was in the finals 4 times last year, 4 times this year. He has won a PBA title, the doubles, but he's never been able to win a singles title.
And it's amazing because he has so much talent. It just seems like at times Wunderlich loses his concentration. And we saw that in his match against Marshall Holman. We saw it again in his match against George Branham, where something off to the side would bother him and he would just completely lose his concentration. And to be a winner, you can't afford to do that, Jay, in any sport, especially in this game, which is so mental.
Well, one of the things that we've enjoyed this week, and so have the folks who've been able to pack their way in here, in the international competition, we've had 18 international stars come here and perform, and that again makes this a special event.
It is a special event, and I'm amazed at how the talent from the foreign players has increased over the last 10 to 15 years. We really have some fine young players coming from the foreign countries, and they are going to be a very big presence in the future, I feel, Jay.
Well, in our next match, of course, you're going to have an opportunity to see Branham go against the youngster. He's only 20 years old, Ryan Schaefer, and he has stepped out here and looked very good.
Give me a light.
That's not correct, Steve. Don't just ask for a light beer.
Come on, give me a light.
You asked for it, Steve.
Bud Light!
Yes, Steve. Bud Light. The light beer with the first name and taste.
Don't just ask for a light.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light, Steve.
Oh, for a warm and cozy castle, insulated safely from the cold of winter.
Cold cuts?
Oh, for Insulsafe 3 from Certainteed. Pure white fiberglass insulation. Thermally efficient, non-combustible.
Oh, warm.
For year-round comfort. Help protect your home or castle. Insulate safely with Insulsafe 3. Call your insulation contractor now.
You might get caught out in the middle of nowhere with a dead battery, but I won't. This is a Delco maintenance-free battery, and when this green eye is showing, it means I've got all the starting power I need, up to 770 cranking amps. If you think your battery's fading fast, I'd start thinking Delco.
Now through January 3rd, get a $5 rebate on most Delco batteries. See a participating AC Delco retailer for details.
Never wait for trouble.
Here at the Northern Bowl, Glendale Heights, Illinois, George Branham III meeting Ryan Schaefer now in the third match of this afternoon's action. And you're going to see a young man who's just 20 years old. Hometown, Elmira, New York. And he's a human windmill out there. Watch this. And what a way to start for Ryan Schaefer. His first career appearance in the TV finals.
Let's see if George can keep it going. This could be one of the greatest matches on television we've had in a long time. Two young players, two very talented young players, going at it on television for the first time.
Both men open with strikes. The stepladder indicates how we got to this point in the proceedings with Branham and Schaefer, Holman finishing 5th and Wunderlich 4th. And George leaves the 4-pin.
An interesting sideline, Jay, to what's happening today is as we watch George Branham repeat that shot, and you can see the 4-pin, and the ball broke very sharply on the back. An interesting sidelight to this is the fact that the last time Marshall Holman and Mark Roth were on the same telecast as they are today was the Quaker State Open earlier this year. And at that time, a rookie, John Odrobinick, came through the whole field and won. We have two, you might say, rookies on the telecast today.
And there is Roth. He qualified first. He's waiting in the wings to meet the winner of this one. A little high and a split for Ryan Schaefer.
A very difficult split. If you remember last week on the telecast, we had the same split left, and it was picked up. As you see, he comes right off his toes, right up in the air. He's just a little guy, Ryan is, and he tries to get every ounce of his body involved in the shot. He's going to try to slide the 3-pin across to take out the 4-7. Good attempt.
It was a good attempt. I talked about him being a human windmill out there. He does have an unusual style. I mean, he throws himself into it. He gyrates out there, and he really does get a lot of loft and a lot of speed for his size. He is just 135 pounds wringing wet. Rocks him down.
Right back with a strike. As you can see by the graphic on television, he is only 20 years old, as Jay mentioned, and only in his second professional tournament on the national tour.
He has won a regional title, but he, as I mentioned, has stepped out here and looked good this week. Here's George Branham on 22. Branham up by 14 pins.
As I mentioned earlier, most of the bowlers have drilled a number of new bowling balls for the lane conditions this week. And as you can see, George is using a new bowling ball. And the reason being is the ball rolls down the lane. There's so much oil on the lanes this week that it actually becomes absorbed into the bowling ball. So they try to use a new ball so they can get that grip on the surface.
And the 10-pin is standing for George.
George bowling extremely well. He's had 2 strikes on lane 22, left the 10-pin and the 4-pin on lane 21. So he's lined up to the pocket, and it's going to be difficult for Ryan Schaefer if he doesn't get it going very early in the match to stay with George the way he's throwing the ball.
We'll be back with more in just a moment.
There came a moment when all the elements came together, unleashing a superbly equipped new breed of compact car, the Dodge Shadow, with 2 or 4-door availability, affordable price, a $550 protection plan. The new Dodge Shadow is going to cast a giant shadow across America. Dodge setting new standards of performance.
True Value Hardware stores unravel the mystery of choosing great gifts for do-it-yourselfers by offering the Poland 14-inch gas chainsaw for just $119.99. Or choose the 12-inch electric chainsaw by Remington for only $48.99. For neat hedges, give the Black & Decker 16-inch hedge trimmer just $38.99 and earn a $5 mail-in rebate. And give neat edges with the Weed Eater gas trimmer edger. It's only $78.88 at most True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
If the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, why swallow cold pills to clear a stuffed nose? Cold pills have to go down to your stomach, dissolve into your bloodstream, and travel through your body before they finally get to your nose. But the shortest distance between relief and your stuffed nose is in Tristan Long-Lasting Nasal Spray. It starts to work in seconds. Tristan Long-Lasting Nasal Spray. Relief right on the nose.
America's favorite pastime returns to NBC as the nation's top rollers battle it out for Bowler of the Year honors. Join Jay Randolph and Hall of Famer Earl Anthony for the PBA Fall Tour next Saturday on NBC.
An exciting afternoon of racing action coming up. The Miami Indy Challenge on Sports World next, following our bowling. Ryan Schaefer down by 14. Looking good, but there's the 4-pin.
Ryan really liked that shot, Jay. He felt it was an excellent shot, and I thought it was too. The ball looked like it was going to be right there. As you see, this is Ryan's approach from the back. This fellow gets up on that toe, the tremendous lift, the leg strength he uses to get the rotation and lift that he needs because of his slight build. Ball breaks sharply, leaving the 4-pin. In an unusual way for a player to shoot a 4-pin, he shoots it down the left side of the lane where most of the players will go cross lane. He goes down the left side.
Last week in the True Value Open in Indianapolis, Ryan won the Pro Tour qualifier on Monday, failed to cash. During the Rabbit squad, though, he rolled 300 in his 5th game, 296 in his 9th, and a 290 in his 10th. He's a very capable and talented young bowler.
Oh, he has the striking power of any player on the tour, other than maybe a John Gant. And there he showed it, Jay, with all that rotation, those pins just dancing down there.
And there you see that he had back-to-back 300 games in a regional match play event in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Actually, it was a 300-300 tie, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it tied a PBA record. It had been done once before by Tom Baker and Pete Weber in the national tournament in Denver. And they did it in a regional event, and it's still a PBA event, so it ties a record, basically. As you watch George Branham here in the 5th frame, another good shot. Now, George has had all 5 shots in the pocket. He's had 2 10-pins and a 4-pin. He is definitely lined up. If he starts carrying, Ryan's better get it going.
Well, Branham with that 246 game at 9 strikes in his victory over Wunderlich, and he now has a 13-pin lead. High.
And George looked like he had a problem with the foul line there, Jay, as Steve Wunderlich did a couple of times in the last game. If you remember, Steve Wunderlich slipped and fouled. Now watch George to get the foul line. He looks like he loses his balance here. You see him kind of catch himself there a little bit, like he was off balance. He didn't like the shot, and he was fortunate that he didn't get a big split out of that.
The 6, 9, 10.
First big mistake by either player, other than the split that Ryan had in the 2nd frame, but the first actual missed spare. As you see the ball slide by the 6-pin and slide it in front of the 9.
Gotta hurry.
Those are the kind of shots that the player will get that almost unmakeable split when he leaves the 2-8-10, as Steve Wunderlich did earlier in one of our other matches, and it's just an impossible spare. Fortunately, the 10 went out, and Ryan has the 2-8, and he's going to shoot it from the left side again, it appears, Jay, and if he does that, it's a more difficult shot. Down, well, he moved in, but when that's such a, he cuts the angle down, it's really hard to get the ball to get that back pin when you do that, Jay.
You had a feeling that was going to happen to him there, didn't you?
It just didn't look right. As you see the ball, the 2-8, the ball really has to cover both pins with the ball, and it deflects away after it hits the 2-pin, leaving the 8. And that's a young player, rookie mistake, you might say, to shoot the spare in that manner.
Both players with problems here in the 6th. Now Schaefer in the 7th. And he comes back with the strike. Hope you're enjoying the Brunswick Memorial World Open. More of the play after this from your local station.
The courageous story of Ted Kennedy Jr.
He has cancer. I don't want to lose my leg.
You're going to make it, Teddy. The powerful story behind the headlines, Monday.
Whodunit, brought to you by Prudential. Heisman Trophy winner Bo Jackson shocked the football world recently when he decided to play pro baseball, named the only other Heisman winner not to play pro football. Whodunit?
Choosing a life insurance policy can make anyone feel helpless. You're at the mercy of strangers. Your hands are tied. You feel pressured. But help is never too far away. With Prudential, your agent has the time to talk to you. listen to you, and work with you until you have a piece of the rock you're comfortable with. No wonder more people choose Prudential for life insurance than any other company. You'll feel right by the rock. Prudential Life Insurance.
The only Heisman winner besides Bo Jackson not to choose pro football opted instead for a military career. Former Army standout Brigadier General Pete Dawkins.
Come home to Mama's Family tonight at 6:30 on Channel 4.
NFL action tomorrow. It kicks off with NFL 86 with Bob Costas and the crew at 12:30 Eastern Time. And many of you will see that Denver Giants game. It should be a dandy. Ahmad Rashad has done a feature on a couple of gentlemen who will have something to say about it, Carson and Taylor. Well, that's tomorrow. NFL action. Check your local listings for the game in your area. NBC's coverage of the NFL continuing. And here, our coverage of the PBA Fall Tour continues at the Brunswick Memorial World Open. Branham up by 11. Oh, it kicked out of there. Look at it, still spin.
It looked like as you watch the ball, and here's George going to the foul line, as you watch his ball enter the pocket area, the 1-3 pocket, watch the 5-pin start to go to the left and then stop, and the head pin will come off the wall, spin around, hit it with the neck, and knock it down. Good break for George. On a strike now, chance to increase his lead.
All right. 21 pin advantage now for George Branham. Schaefer, a strike in the 7th. On lane 22 in the 8th.
Looking good. First time he has struck on lane 22 in the match, and it's already the 8th frame. But a key time to do it. It keeps him in the match, only 11 pins down with 2 frames to play.
He had to have this one, Earl.
He definitely did. And watch this arm swing. Watch him come right off up on his toe there, Jay. He gets everything he's got into every shot.
He is a man in motion. And now he's got big trouble.
He does, and he was in position there to get the match to within 1 pin if he would have struck. And it was a key shot. It's 9th frame. It's late in the match. Without the spare here, which is a very difficult shot, as you see the ball go through the middle of the head pin, leaving the 6, 7, 10. Without this spare, George Branham is really in a commanding position.
Schaefer's first career appearance in the TV finals. He had a high series this year, the ABC tournament at 780, Bolden College. Now it's Branham up by 26. And Branham strikes, and he is definitely the man of the moment.
He is. Hit him thin and watch him spin, Jay. He did it again. That's back-to-back on that right-hand lane, lane 22, that he's had the ball come in light in the pocket. You see George going to the foul line. Now watch the ball hit, just barely get enough of the head pin to get him dancing around. And watch the pin. It looks like it's already in the pit area. Turn around and just knock the 7 down.
He's our winner. George Branham III from California. His first career championship round appearance, and his best previous finish was 8th. I think I said that was at Los Angeles in '86.
Well, he's going to have his hands full in the next match, Jay, going against someone of the caliber of a Mark Roth, very experienced, a very dominant type player. And he's the kind of guy, when you get out there and bowl against him, as I've done many times in the past, he can be intimidating with the power that Mark Roth has in his release. It's going to be interesting how George Branham handles the pressure of bowling for his first championship against a player of the caliber of Mark Roth.
Well, no black professional has ever won a PBA title. It will be Branham against Roth. More in just a few moments from the Brunswick Memorial World Open here in Glendale Heights, Illinois.
Howdy. Give me a light. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name of taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
Ask for Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Hi. Oh. Buy your friend a beer.
This high-performance drink cleans your fuel system to help maintain peak performance. STP gas treatment, the high-performance drink for your car.
Driving on your old antifreeze another year can be risky. Weak, neglected antifreeze can cause freeze-up and make a radiator look this bad, while the Prestone radiator looks this good. So don't push your luck, change it once a year with fresh Prestone.
Smile. The easy does a 35 for pictures to come alive. 35 millimeter? It's easy. Kodak VR 35. Ta-da!
You just drop the film in. It almost loads itself. Then aim and shoot.
Have you ever seen a sharper baby picture? I have.
Whichever one you want to choose, we've got the 35 for you. Kodak VR 35.
It's a great shot.
Nothing to it.
Sunday, the NFL plays here when the Broncos battle the Giants.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL 86.
George Branham has defeated Schaefer 201 to 178, and it will be Branham to go against Mark Roth in the championship match for the first prize of $33,000 in the Brunswick Memorial World Open.
NBC Sports presents the Bowling Forum with Earl Anthony, and it's brought to you by Brunswick. Brunswick, making bowling better. And as always, we're happy to be with you, and very happy, Earl, to be here in Glendale Heights, Illinois. Brunswick's had a wonderful tournament this week. It is a very special event.
It is. It's special for a number of reasons, Jay, but most of all, I think, because we're honoring someone like Alberta Crow.
Well, that's one of the things that has happened here this week. And, of course, one of the features of this tournament is the international aspects. And stars have come from all over the world. They're here from Canada and from Italy and from Great Britain and Sweden. 18 international stars coming here to this Chicago suburb to bowl. And the top finisher from Korea, Young Hwan Win. And, of course, we're reminded that NBC in 1988 will be in Seoul, Korea for the Olympics. At that time, bowling will be an exhibition sport. And just the other day, we learned that in 1991, the Pan American Games, bowling becomes a medal sport. So bowling on the move internationally. And as Earl mentioned, honored here this week, one of the great women of the game, the late Alberta Crow.
She was a guiding light for bowlers, both men and women, throughout her career, Jay. She was one of the outstanding people in the game.
Coming up, Al McGuire's preseason basketball special. That's later today. And, of course, right after the bowling, it is the Miami Indy Challenge. Coverage of the action from down in Florida. Danny Sullivan, Rick Mears, and others on hand. And Michael Andretti and Bobby Rahal. Exciting racing action next. And then the coach, Al McGuire, will talk a little basketball with you. Well, now we're set And the championship match for the top prize of $33,000, George Branham III against Mark Roth. Roth, 35 years of age. Branham, just 24. Can Branham do it?
Well, that's really a great question, Jay, because as I mentioned earlier, the last time Holman and Roth were on the same telecast, a rookie beat them all. Oh, it must be championship time.
A tough start for Branham. Branham with games of 246 and 201, an average of 223.5 in his 2 games. Victories over Wunderlich and Schaefer.
As so often happens, though, Jay, as you start the championship match, everything's on the line, and the rookies tend to get a little tight. Mark Roth, with all that experience, all these years on the tour, 32-time champion. He's really hard to beat.
Mark Roth from Spring Lake Heights, New Jersey, 16th year on the tour. More titles, 32, than any active player on the PBA Tour at this time. And Roth starts it off with a strike. Our uninterrupted, exclusive coverage of this championship match, as we do for you on NBC Sports coverage of the Fall Tour. Mark Roth, career TV record of 63 and 70 in 93 previous appearances. 3 times the Sporting News Player of the Year in 84, 77, and 78, and 79. He's left the 2-8. There's Mark's wife, Jackie, and their little daughter, Stephanie. She'll be 4 tomorrow. How about that?
As many years as Jackie has been around and seen Mark bowl, you can still see the tension in her face as she watches her husband, maybe the greatest bowler to ever play the game.
Well, that's high praise from a man who is considered by many to be the greatest, Earl Anthony, who sits
there is
alongside.
Something, Jay, that's very unique for a Mark Roth to miss a spare. He's one of the best spare shooters I've ever seen. And for him to miss a spare like that, it's very unusual, to say the least. Puts George Branham right back in the match. He's actually up by a pin, even though in the first frame he had the big split in the open.
That's a little short. Both players struggling a little in the early going. That's the 2-5 left for Branham. Branham finished second in last year's Sporting News PBA Rookie of the Year voting to Tom Kreitz, as we see this one come up short.
And not an easy spare here with the 2-5. Go down the left side, try to keep it on both pins, and he did. Excellent shot.
There's Joe Dahl, the president of the American Bowling Congress. Wonderful gentleman. They're the rule-making body, of course, for the sport. Our good friend Ed Sweeney of St. Louis will be taking over that position next March. Well, the 4-pin wouldn't go.
Now, George has made some adjustments from his last match. He has moved more to the center of the lane. He's playing more down the center of the lane, trying to get the ball to go a little longer. And so that, to me, means that the lanes are breaking down a little bit. In other words, the track area is drying out a little, and he has to get inside of that, away from between the second and third arrow, and catch the track farther down the lane so the ball doesn't hook in. A major mistake by George by missing the 4-pin.
Well, there's obviously a great deal of pressure on this young man.
Just lost his concentration. It looks like he just let the ball down real early, and it started rolling too soon and hooked in front of the 4-pin. You can see the disappointment on George's face as he sits there. You don't give Mark Roth very many openings. And
that's what he does,
what he'll do. That's what he'll do, Jay. You're right. You give him an opportunity more than once, and you're in trouble, and especially in the latter stages of the match. In the 8th, 9th, and 10th frames, Mark Roth is very difficult to beat. You better get him early.
He is second in career money winning, only to Earl Anthony. broke the million mark in '84 when he won the Greater Detroit Open. Roth now leading by 11.
Now, Mark was light on that lane. In other words, he barely got up to the head pin on lane 21 in the second frame when he left the 2-8 and then missed it. This frame, it looks like he's made an adjustment and tried to get the ball a little higher in the pocket, and it went too high. So he's struggling a little bit on lane 21. Mark Roth, as you watched his approach there, I don't think he knows how many steps he's going to take, Jay. He just starts going up there. Look at all those steps. Sometimes 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. Whatever's comfortable, then he lets it go.
He's a stalker, isn't he?
He is. You know, most players will take 4 or 5 steps, but Mark, he'll just get up there and start walking. And when he feels he's comfortable, he lets it go, and he has some just fantastic rhythm and timing. He seems to always get there at in the right position to release that ball, and with tremendous power.
Well, he is really struggling now.
He is, and again, he's moved more to the center of the lane. He's trying to get the ball, using the oil in the center of the lane to get the ball to slide farther. As you watch him go to the foul line, see where he's laying it down inside the 4th arrow, trying to get it out over between the 3rd and 4th arrow, and the ball's not making the turn on the back that he expects. Both players struggling a little bit because the lanes are changing. And as we go on through this championship match, and because it is a championship match, it's more difficult to make those adjustments.
Well, he did a nice job there of picking up the 2, 4, 5, 8.
Still in the match, only 11 pins down. If he can get something going, create a little pressure, anything can happen, Jay.
Branham, remind those of you who might just be turning in, defeated Wunderlich and Schaefer to get into this championship match. He's just 24 years old. Won the Southern California Junior Bowler of the Year title in '83.
Looking a little better there, Jay. That was the shot he wants right there.
So Branham with a strike in the 5th. And Roth leads by 11.
George Branham going to the foul line. Now watch the release that George is very powerful. She is wrist cocked there, very strong. Gets a lot of rotation on the ball. He's tightened the lineup just a little bit. And it was what he wanted. Mark Roth right back in there, Jay.
Roth strikes on 22.
Now Mark has been light on lane 21 in the 2nd frame. Then he came in high on the head pin in the 4th frame. Let's see if he makes an adjustment here. He has yet to strike on lane 21, the lane that he chose to finish on in the 10th frame.
Well, he got a break there, and he's really thrilled.
First double of the match by either player. As you see Mark Roth's reaction to the shot, light in the pocket. He likes that. Carry that 7-pin off the wall.
Branham finds himself down 21 pins on lane 22 in the 6th. And he is a very confused bowler at the moment.
Yeah, I think he started making some adjustments based on the last few frames of his previous match. And he's made adjustments that the ball, and he's made a too big of an adjustment, Jay. The ball's not reacting quite the way he expects it to. And he's almost afraid to move back to a tighter line because then he feels probably that the ball will go high in the head pin. He doesn't want that. He wants to keep carrying those light hits. Tough spare. That spare has been missed twice today, and George picked it up. Again, we're in the 7th frames. You see the scoreboard. Branham down by 21 pins as he shoots the 2-8 spare. Very difficult spare in this situation. Late in the match now. We're past the halfway point. 7th frame for George Branham.
All right. Branham gets a very, very important strike in the 7th. He's, you know, I suppose handling the pressure really pretty well. We should compliment him the way he's moved beat Wunderlich and then Schaefer, and now has a chance at Mr. Roth. 7 doesn't go, and Mark looks in disgust.
Well, Mark threw that ball well. He was very happy with the release, and the ball came in what they call half pocket. The 5-pin went in front of the 7. Mark is a kind of player that once he gets you down, he becomes more and more aggressive, and he's a very dominant type player, as I mentioned earlier, and an excellent spare shooter, which he made a lie around me earlier also.
Roth made his first TV show appearance here back in 1972, right here in this house, and lost to Don Johnson in the finals of this event, 207-181.
It's sure not a shame to lose to Don. You can't be ashamed of losing to a Hall of Famer like Don Johnson, who is one of the finest bowlers ever to play on the Pro Tour. He's come a long way since then, though, Jay. Mark Roth. That's trouble.
Mark, if he wins this championship, and the $33,000 will be right at the $100,000 mark for the year.
So watch Mark's release at the foul line. He liked the shot, but the ball didn't seem to make the turn that he expected it to make. Now, at this point in the match, Mark Roth seems to be lost on lane 21. He did carry the one light hit over there. But I think that if George Branham should strike here on lane 22, he could take command in this match, and he's going to be tough to beat. It's late in the match, 8th frame for George Branham.
Here's the prize money. Holman has won $6,000, Wunderlich $7,000, Schaefer $9,000. And now, Branham and Roth battling it out. Feeling that if he could do that, it would tighten things up, and this is going to be a dandy finish. Branham is down by 8 to Roth. Sports World is coming up next with the auto racing, the Indy type cars performing down in Florida today. Paul Page and all the crew will be with you.
That was for the lead. Wow, we have a new leader in this match.
What a fine comeback by this young man.
And a key strike in the 9th frame. Not only does he take the lead, but he cannot be shut out now by Mark Roth. No matter what Mark Roth does, George Branham can still win the match in the 10th frame and the championship.
Roth's not done.
He's never done.
No, sir.
If there's room on the sheet, you can't count Mark Roth out. The key shot here of the whole match has got to be this shot right here on lane 21 for Mark Roth, who has struggled on this lane. And let's see if he can come up with the strike when he really needs it. Make the adjustment. He's been high, he's been light to take the lead. Didn't get it. He was hoping. Mark Roth always, in a key situation, will get the ball a little wide of his target because he knows he can get it to finish very hard in the back. You see the ball going down the lane, catching the ball track way down the lane, coming in behind the head pin, and he leaves the 7-pin, pins dancing all around it, nothing touched it. With the spare, we have a lot of possibilities here. We could have a tie. George Branham obviously in the lead by 2 pins. Mark Roth, maximum score of 195. We could have a 9th and 10th frame roll-off, Jay, if we have a tie. Mark Roth needs to strike here to make George Branham get at least a mark. A spare, a 9 count, a spare, and another 9 count, we'd have a tie. Oh, my.
Oh, my, and Roth
changes the complexion of the match completely. George Branham now in the 10th frame needs only a spare, any kind of a mark.
Roth here leaving the 4, 6, 7, 10.
Branham takes a re-rack, and more than anything, probably to collect his thoughts. His first opportunity for a championship. It's a big one, the World Open.
And again, I'll mention he would be the first black PBA professional to ever win a national title.
And here we go. Any kind of a mark. All right.
All right.
He leaves only the 7-pin, an extremely good shot. Considering the situation, it was a great shot. Now remember, George Branham is standing at the foul line. When he releases the next shot, he's 60 feet away from that pin, and that's a long ways, and he's thinking how small it is right now. But if he makes it, all those good things happen.
Most important spare of his bowling life.
And he made it. What a great shot. What a great clutch performance by a rookie. Now,
he needs 6 pins to win.
He needs 6 pins to win, and all he's thinking right now is give me part of that head pin. Any part of that head pin, he's got a chance to win this tournament right now. 5 and a tie, 6 to win.
And George Branham has won the $33,000 first prize in the Brunswick Memorial World Open. That's his fiancée right there, Patty Cummings from San Diego, California.
And this is history, Jay. The first black player ever to win a national stop on the PBA Tour, and what a win for George Branham. He was as cool as ice all day today. He won 3 matches. He beat 3 of the best players on the tour, another rookie in Schaefer. But I'll tell you, what a clutch performance in the 10th frame.
Well, we'll be back with the presentation here at the Northern Bowl in Glendale Heights, Illinois. Our winner, George Branham III.
Hey, Mark, I see you got one of those rhinos. Next thing you know, he's going to tell us it's got horns.
Unleash your game. Roll a rhino. The Rhino from Brunswick, a urethane ball designed for professional and high-performance bowling.
This is your cousin Samantha.
Hi, Samantha. Hi. I've never ridden in a truck.
Don't be shy, you're not alone. Let our dogs take us there, settle back in your chair. Soon we'll be at the place we call our own. Come on, Dodge, come along to my Carolina home.
Samantha, can I call you Sam? Sure.
America's favorite pastime returns to NBC as the nation's top rollers battle it out for Bowler of the Year honors. Join Jay Randolph and Hall of Famer Earl Anthony for the PBA Fall Tour next Saturday on NBC.
Heights this afternoon. The championship won with the score of 195, and we want to have the presentation here. History was made here this afternoon, of course, as George becomes the first black touring professional to ever win a PBA national title. And what a tremendous, tremendous afternoon of bowling we've had. Right now, we are very happy, of course, to have Tom White of Brunswick, and this is a magnificent trophy, and you get to present it.
Thank you very much. George, once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
On that fine victory, on your first victory. I'm sure there's going to be many more after watching you today. Also, on behalf of Brunswick, our customers and our employees, I'd like to present you with this fine trophy in commemoration of your victory in the 15th Brunswick Memorial World Open. Congratulations.
That trophy's so big, it hides you behind it there.
Okay.
Arnie Vogel is the president of the Brunswick Recreation Division. Arnie, it's been a super week, and wasn't this something this afternoon?
Great week for George, and a great week for Brunswick, the best of all. And I have something larger than that trophy. I've got a check for $33,000.
George, come on over here and get this check.
Very well done.
Well, this is a very, very happy time for you. I know that.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is the toughest finals I've ever bowled in my life, and to win it's just unbelievable.
Toughest finals,
It was not only the toughest finals, it was the first time he ever was on television in appearance, and he goes all the way and wins it. How about that? And I think we all know, all over this country and around the bowling world, that you beat the great Mark Roth to do what you did today. That was sensational. The pressure had to be tremendous on you.
I just tried not to think about anything but try to win.
Try not to think about Mark Roth, huh?
That's right.
You were very cool, I thought, today, but you did seem to have a few problems fighting the lanes in the late going.
Well, I wasn't too calm. I mean, I was really nervous. I tried to pretend like I wasn't, but it's kind of hard to do. But they're pretty, I don't know. I just can't think right now.
Well, we got a little time. You just relax. Let me bring Earl in here and see if Earl has a question for you. We'll give you a chance to gather your thoughts. That's perfectly all right.
I just wanted to ask you how you felt when you when you picked up your ball and looked down there and saw just the 7-pin for your first championship. That's all you had to make was that 1-pin spare. What went through your mind? Anything at all?
Just don't miss it.
George, you are only 24 years old, and certainly you have a long and we hope wonderful career ahead. You came out here today and really did something that's not easy to do. I know the folks at home and those here know that to win one of these TV finals at your age and against the kind of competition that you did, you really had to get it together and keep it together, and that's tough in the TV finals.
Yeah, it's real tough. Yesterday was my birthday, so this is my birthday gift, I guess.
Well, I should say so. Your birthday gift, and Merry Christmas also.
Thank you.
Have you thought, can I ask him something, Jay? Have you thought about what all this means to you? Has it gone through your mind yet, or are you still kind of a blank, George? I mean, are you thinking about the PTQ and all these kind of things?
I don't know. I'm just shocked. I can't believe it.
The Firestone Tournament of Champions, all these things that become available when you win a championship, and especially a big one like the World Open.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, our champion, George Branham. And certainly thanks to everyone here this week at the Brunswick Memorial World Open, as this $200,000 event has just been a remarkable show all week. Let's tell you, next week, of course, we will be in Columbus, Ohio, and we're looking forward to the Budweiser Classic there in Columbus, $150,000 tournament at the Columbus Square Bowling Palace in Columbus, Ohio. Hope you'll join us at 2 Eastern Time. Coming up next, we have the Miami Indy Challenge for you from down in Florida. And following that, Coach Al McGuire will be talking a little basketball this afternoon on NBC. The PBA Fall Tour has been sponsored by Brunswick. Brunswick, making bowling better. By Bud Light, everything else is just a light. And by Certainty, manufacturer of America's finest quality of home installation. And by Dodge, setting new standards of performance. And our congratulations again to the champion, George Branham III. This has been a presentation of NBC Sports in cooperation with Bud Sports.